Hi guys, it's Han here. Mercedes-Benz current GLS model was introduced in the 2020 model year, and for the 2024 model year, Mercedes-Benz has updated the GLS a little bit, so let's check it out today. Thanks to all for all the help provided. Welcome to subscribe my car reviews channel both in English and Chinese. Thank you all for subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing and lighting up the bell. The 2024 GLS powertrain is unchanged from the 2023 model. The main selling model of the regular version is the GLS 450, equipped with 3-liter inline-6, turbocharged with mild hybrid. 9-speed automatic transmission. The high-end power of the regular version is a V8 turbocharged engine with a mild hybrid system. If you need a more violent version, there is also an AMG model on the GLS model. If you want more luxury, there is also a GLS Maybach. The GLS is positioned in the luxury full-size 3-row SUV segment in US market. People often compare MB GLS with this or that, but in my mind, its most direct competitor is BMW's X7. If we compare the exterior dimensions with BMW X7, we can see that the GLS 450 has a slight advantage over the X7 in terms of overall wheelbase, length and width, but it is not as tall as the X7 in height. The GLS 450 has a double wishbone in front and multi-link in rear suspension design. An adaptive damping system is standard. Curb weight is 5,489 pounds or 2,490 kilograms. Maximum towing capacity is 7,700 pounds or 3,493 kilograms. GLS 450 comes with a 23.8-gallon or 90-liter fuel tank. According to EPA under combined operating conditions, the GLS 450's combined fuel consumption is 21 mpg or 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers. As Mercedes-Benz product in this price range, it doesn't need to be broken down into too many trims. Mercedes-Benz is the originator and model of package sales in the industry. On the MSRP starting price without shipping, we can see that the GLS 450 still starts a little bit higher than the X7 xDrive 40. The one we're checking out today is a 2024 model GLS 450, 4-wheel drive, quad-zone air conditioning and Burmester audio are as standard. Optional 2 captain chairs in second row and heated steering wheel. A night package is optionally installed, that is, the exterior decoration parts are all dark color. Also, the AMG line package is optionally installed. The optional acoustic comfort package includes premium cabin silence and surrounding glass silence. Opted for massage and rapid heating of the front seats and heating of the rear seats. Front wheel size is 275/45R21 and 315/40R21 for rear wheel size. The MSRP of this car with shipping is $95,720. The engine and transmission were from the Germany plant. Final assembly line at the US plant. For the 24 models, the exterior details have been updated. The most eye-catching appearance is that its front face and middle grille have been redesigned. The area of the center grid has been further enlarged, and the design of the LED light set is not only relatively complex, but also the lighting startup screen design is quite cool. As a product of Mercedes-Benz, we have experienced its lighting startup screen before on its EVs. Because this vehicle has the night package, we can see that there is not much bright chrome left on the front. With the exception of some slight bright chrome color on the logo, most of the rest of it is decorated in black or dark colors. There is an air guide hole on the left and right side to really guide the air. From the sidelines and shape, it can be seen that not much has changed on the 2024 model. Although sometimes the GLS appears not to be large in videos and pictures, in fact the size of the GLS is indeed quite large. The size is indeed large. Regarding the Mercedes-Benz brand, we don't need to talk about anything else but its design. I think the designer still has some unique insights and deserves to be the originator of the auto industry. Although the overall design lines of the vehicle are relatively rounded, many places including its more three-dimensional front cabin, protruding wheel arches and lines inadvertently drawn on the hem can reveal a sense of strength. It does not mean that a vehicle must be straight-angled and square in order to be very powerful. The round design with just the right embellishment can also create a wild and uninhibited look. This vehicle has been added with the night package. We can see that there is not much color in the chrome-plated bright strips left on the side. Except for a hint of bright color on the door handles and wheel, everything else is light dark decorative strips include luggage racks, window surrounds and rearview mirrors. As the largest passenger car in the family, the difference from the GLE is that the back of the third row is designed to be square to ensure space for the third row and the trunk. If I were to find fault, I think the rearview mirror could be made relatively larger. The lower edges of doors do not wrap the vehicle body. The opening angles of the four doors are not exaggerated, but the doors of this vehicle are very wide, and the wingspan is very long after the doors are opened up. Everyone should pay attention to this when opening the door. This vehicle has no pedals. Taking my height as a reference, getting on and off this vehicle is not stressful, but I still feel that the height of this vehicle should be equipped with pedals. The height of this vehicle is also the limit for me to get in and out of the car without pedals. If it is higher than this car, I will need pedals. It does not have power suction doors. The GLS comes standard with 21-inch wheels, and this vehicle also has 21-inch wheels. The rear tires of this vehicle are much wider than the front ones, and the visual effect is so good. Of course, the wallet does hurt a lot when changing tires. This car chooses the AMG version of the 5-spoke wheels, which are relatively simple and sporty. Body height minimized. Body height up to maximum. Body height status in comfort mode. The overall contours and lines of the rear remain basically unchanged. The biggest change is the internal light source shape of the light groups on both sides of the rear. In official terms, the light set inside is composed of 3 sets of LED horizontal light blocks. It does look quite beautiful at night. There are relatively more chrome-plated bright strips at the rear than at the front and sides. Including a chrome-plated bright strip running across the left and right, various shiny logos and the 2 exhaust decorations below are all chrome-plated. Looking at the rear section from directly behind, there is a feeling of enlargement and width at the bottom, which made the whole body appear to be relatively strong. There's a relatively raised bumper platform molding at the rear. Below the traditional bumper position, the design is not too complicated. The 2 exhaust holes feel like they're more elaborate, but they're just a decoration. There's 1 exhaust on the left and 1 on the right, and it's a very hidden design. The key to the Mercedes-Benz family? The lining of the trunk is just a plastic plate and has no functionality. What's more interesting is that a hook is made on the edge of the armrest. You can hang something on it when you go on an outing. The trunk opening is relatively square, and the lower edge of the trunk opening is relatively high. When the 3rd row of seats is opened up, the space in the trunk is a full arm's length deep below, while the space above is relatively tight. There's a light here on the left, which is the only light in the entire trunk. That is a bit unusual for a Mercedes-Benz, and above that is the button to fold the 2nd row of seats down. There's a thicker hook over here. There's a hook underneath. On the right, this is the 12-volt charger socket. 3rd row seat adjustment buttons. Rear part height adjustment buttons. There's a first aid kit. Opened up the cover. Underneath is a compact spare tire with a retractable curtain. The tools, the jack, and a pair of gloves. Space performance with the 3rd row folded down. Space performance after the 2nd and 3rd rows are both folded down at the same time. The interior of the 2024 model is not much different from the previous model, and according to the official word, there are some upgrades to the vehicle's system. The ambient lighting scheme has also been upgraded. The styling of the steering wheel has been upgraded to the latest style of the Mercedes-Benz family. It has an AMG-style steering wheel. If you do not want the AMG package, its steering wheel style will be a style with a relatively large 3-frame width, which is the latest style of the Mercedes-Benz family shape. All 4 windows have auto up-down functionality. On left to steering wheel is the traditional Mercedes-Benz style of light controls in the center console. It doesn't have a head-up display. The dashboard is the same as the Mercedes-Benz family's long screen, which has 2 very clear displays. But as we know, it's not the latest Mercedes-Benz model, and this long screen is also a common part of the Hyundai group. The problem on Hyundai products still exists for me on this Mercedes-Benz long screen. That is, when I adjust the seat and steering wheel to suit my position, when I look at the dashboard from my sight, some data is blocked by the top of the steering wheel. Mercedes-Benz's LCD screens have always been very good. No matter which of the 2 screens they are, both are very clear. Very high participation, including this dashboard, which have a lot of modes. The display is also very cool. I still prefer to use this classic model. The information displayed is relatively Mercedes-Benz, which we have seen it many times before. The dashboard is adjusted via the keys on the left side of the steering wheel. The buttons on the right side of the steering wheel are used to adjust the center screen. The steering wheel feels great. The steering wheels of the Mercedes-Benz family are considered to be relatively outstanding in the industry. While this steering wheel can also be called superior in the Mercedes-Benz family, the steering wheel is very thick, with very exaggerated shapes at 3 and 9 o'clock. All the buttons on the steering wheel are touch buttons, which we have also seen on previous Mercedes-Benz products. The two rear gear shift paddles are very metallic and have a great feel to them, and the lights have automatic on-off, automatic high beams, and the front wipers have rain sensors. The central screen is a touch screen that can also be adjusted through the buttons on the steering wheel and the mouse pad in the center. Although the central screen also goes straight to the rear and is not tilted toward the driver's side, it is relatively far away from the driver, so it's not difficult for driver to watch it during driving. Whether it is clarity, resolution, or response speed, this screen should perform well among current automotive products, and the information display are not messy. The informations about off-road, whether it's the screen settings or the color scheme, are more comfortable to watch. iPhone CarPlay and Android connection both have wireless connectivity. It has a panoramic views, reversing view plus panoramic view. Left blind spot, right blind spot, front view, reverse view, very clear. Automatic anti-glare mirrors, no glasses case, no panoramic mirrors. Very high quality 4 air conditioning outlets. There are still physical buttons for the air conditioning control, which is great. When the cover is opened up, there are a wireless charging pad and 2 Type-C data interaction ports. Driving modes for customized sport mode, comfort mode, eco mode, and off-road mode, and the center armrest compartment isn't too big, and there's a Type-C charger socket in it. Sitting in it, the 2024 model hasn't changed much, and now that I've got the seats turned to the bottom, you can see how the first row performance in terms of space. The seats don't feel too far off from the previous model. It's still the same feeling as Mercedes' seats in the mid to full-size SUVs. The seats are thicker, and the seat padding is the same as the Mercedes-Benz families in the big vehicle, slightly softer than in the small-size Mercedes-Benz vehicle. But it's not particularly soft. This vehicle has a lot of adjustment items for the drivers and passengers' seats. It can give you very good care of your body, which is of course a must for this price range. But not all functions have physical adjustment buttons. There are many functions, including massage and lumbar adjustment, which need to be adjusted on the central screen. The lumbar support is very adjustable and feels very comfortable. On Mercedes-Benz's mid to high-end models, the function that the passenger seat can be adjusted from drive seat is also available in this vehicle. Both the driver and passenger have 3 levels of heated and ventilated seats, and this vehicle has the option of rapid heat front seats. And both have 3 levels of seat memory. As a tradition of Mercedes-Benz in large cars, the steering wheel adjustment range is very large, both up and down, front and back. In terms of materials, the upper part is decorated with leather. Underneath, there are decorative panels made of metal. Down here, both the driver's and the passenger side are trimmed in leather. Very soft feeling, very nice. When you sit in the car and look at the door frame, you can't see any metal parts, all wrapped in plastic, which is a must for Mercedes. When the windows are working, the sound is lower, no matter what stage of the operation. Material on the door panels, leather on top. Decorative panels in the center. Leather. And then down here, it's hard plastic. It's pure hard plastic, which is really not that upscale. The side of the center console, as you can see, doesn't have any hard plastic material, and the bottom is carpeted, and the top is leather, and it's very comfortable to rest your legs on. The second row of this car doesn't have a noticeable height effect, and the visibility in the second row isn't too far off from the first row, and the seats in the second row are actually quite comfortable. As you can see, the cushions are long and high enough to support your legs well. The seats are relatively thick, but overall they don't feel as comfortable as the first row. The first row is still the most comfortable seat in the vehicle. The backs of the second row seats are a little bit thin and hard. Overall, if you compare it to the second row seats of American luxury full-size SUVs, it's definitely more comfortable than those seats. At least they're wide and big enough to sit on without any discomfort. But for a Mercedes-Benz branded second row seat at this price point, I think it could do a little bit better. The second row seats are power adjustable, both for left and right, and the adjustments aren't as exciting as the first row. The 2 second row seats come with 3 levels heating features. The GLS comes standard with 4-zone air conditioning, and even the rear air conditioning is 2-zone, with vents behind the center armrest box and on the B-pillar. Opened up the cover, there are 2 Type-C charger sockets underneath. The center floor is relatively raised, and the armrests on the 2 second row seats are height adjustable, which is very nice. Foremost seat. The seat ends up and a little farther forward. The seat back has the largest elevation angle. The height of the second row seat headrests can also be power adjusted. Sitting in the car and looking at the door frames, you can't see the metal parts of the door frames at all, and the second row doesn't have sunshades. The door panels are made of leather. Center panel, ambient lighting, leather. The underside is also hard plastic with very large storage compartments on both the left and right door panels. In the extension of the front center armrest, there are 2 cup holders and the sunroof curtain opens up to here. Sitting in the third row, as you can see, The space is basically acceptable. I'm sitting straight up, my head doesn't touch the roof, and there's still some room. The legs are able to be brought in, and the left leg is able to be attached to the front seat back. This seat is adjusted to the last but slightly forward position. The right leg, if the front passenger doesn't mind, I can stretch it forward a little bit. The third row seats of GLS, you can feel that the designers were smart about it. Its cushion design isn't really long enough either, but it's designed to be tall enough. It supports your thighs relatively well, compared to third row seats where the cushions aren't long enough or high enough. It's relatively comfortable, but not too comfortable, and the third row of seats is for adult emergencies only. The third row has speakers on the left and right, 2 small charging and cup holders on each side. There's a reading light up there too. The GLS 450, which we've talked about before, still has the same comfortable driving feel that the Mercedes-Benz brand has in its mid to full-size vehicles. No matter how sporty the packages are, doesn't affect overall comfort at all. The first thing that impressed me deeply after experiencing this GLS 450 is the suspension adjustment. Of course, this adjustment style also belongs to the comfort style of Mercedes-Benz, which is more obvious in its medium and large vehicles. The air suspension matching adaptive mode, like a boat in comfort mode, the suspension works hard to filter out all the bumps on the road. On one hand, if you hit a pothole or bump on the road when driving at low speed, there will be some slight vibrations transmitted to the car. But even if it is transmitted to the car, it will be the processed vibration and a little bit shaking. On the other hand, when running at high speed, the overall feeling is very comfortable, and the car body has the thick and advanced undulating feeling that I prefer. At high speed, if you encounter some minor road conditions, a small and crisp sound will be directly transmitted into the car, and the body will hardly feel any vibration. When driving over a smooth, undulating road surface at high speed, there will be a certain natural ups and downs of the vehicle body, but not too much. However, it won't lie firmly on the road like EVs, motionless. Frankly speaking, I personally prefer the feel of the GLS suspension. Its feeling is different from that of Range Rover. Some road conditions can still be felt in GLS. If compared with the Range Rover, if compared both to ships at the same time, the displacement and tonnage of the ship of the Range Rover will be relatively larger. Another impressive point is the brakes, which of course are one of the things Mercedes-Benz has always done better in its mid and full-size vehicles. There is nothing to say about the braking effect and distance, which are both great. What I will say is that the brake pedal feels very comfortable. It's also split into 2 speed parts, one at low speeds or creeping traffic when the brake pedal feels very linear, not as linear as it does in a small Germany car. It's the kind of pressure that makes the car stand up straight when you put a little bit of pressure on it, but of course it doesn't mean that it has a loose brake. It doesn't. The brake is very tight. The other part is that when driving at high speed, you can feel the braking force as long as you put your foot on the brake pedal. If you step hard on the brakes in high speed, the brakes will come on very quickly. What's better is that no matter what speed you apply the brakes deeply, you won't feel the weight of the entire vehicle, and you won't feel that the brakes are very heavy. I think this is relatively advanced. The vehicle's quietness is quite good. Originally, the GLS's quietness was quite good, and this car also had an acoustic package added. During high-speed driving, except for the occasional roar of the engine and tire noise, other sounds are basically within a very good range. Of course, it would be even more perfect if this tire noise could be controlled, but there is no way. It is not easy for such big and wide tires to make the sound quieter. The steering force of the steering wheel is relatively comfortable. The steering wheel turns very lightly at low speeds, so I believe lady with weak strength will have no problem at all. Although it is very stable when turning at high speeds, what is very advanced is that Mercedes-Benz perfectly distinguishes the 2 concepts of stability and weight. Although it is very stable, it does not appear to be heavy in the direction. In terms of power, this vehicle is considered the entry-level GLS. In this level and price range, the power should be called enough, but it is not too violent. For 4-wheel drive vehicles built on a rear-wheel drive platform, in comfort mode, the rear wheels are the main driving wheels in most cases, and the front wheels will only participate appropriately in some special road conditions or during rapid acceleration. The biggest disadvantage of power is the first step of the accelerator when starting from a standstill. If you want to have the acceleration to quickly catch up with the car in front, it is definitely not enough to tap the accelerator lightly at this time. If you tap the accelerator lightly, you will feel the vehicle body is very lazy. If you step on the accelerator deeply, the engine will start to exert power around 2000 RPM. Once the engine speed passes 2000 RPM, the power will begin to come into play, and the car body will not appear so lazy. No matter which speed range you are in, as long as you increase the engine speed to more than 2000 RPM, you can get a good power response. Here we can also see the technical route for such a large car without changing the track or powertrain. In a gasoline engine, a 6-cylinder engine is necessary and guaranteed for such a large car. If the cylinder is further reduced, it will definitely work, but it will not be balanced. Another advantage of this car is that even if you are already driving very fast, you still have the illusion that the speed is not too fast, which feels more advanced. Of course, not all cars called luxury cars will have this feeling. This 9G transmission is relatively smooth overall. The gear matching is also more reasonable. Normal upshifts and downshifts are relatively smooth. It is also the latest universal component of Mercedes-Benz. The overall feeling is that the performance on a large displacement car is smoother than that on a relatively small displacement car. But like a common problem with multi-speed transmission, for example, when the accelerator is quickly released at low speeds, it will also experience some untimely frustration. According to the EPA, GLS 450 has a maximum range of 500 miles. After I filled up the tank, it shows maximum cruising range was about 550 miles. Everyone knows that I can't drive very gently when I test drive. Of course, compared to Japan products, the estimated driving range of Germany vehicles' computers is still more affected by recent driving habits. The cruising range is also often increased or significantly reduced during driving without any reason. We must be aware of this and not rely too much on the vehicle computer. Another point about this vehicle is the sun visor. It still adheres to the two sun visors on each side of the old-school European cars. This was very common on European products before. Recently, all auto brands have become more and more economical. This configuration is really rare now. Dynamically speaking, this GLS 450 is a luxury full-size SUV that focuses on comfort and has sufficient power. Both the exterior size and driving feel are quite different from those big American models. Although it is not as powerful as V8 or AMG Model Fierce, and the configuration is not luxurious. If you want to be sporty, it also has a sport or an off-road mode. But having said that, this kind of SUV can't talk about sports and off-roading. It's nice to take family around comfortably, quite comfortable. In summary, this is the experience video of this 2024 GLS 450. Generally speaking, the GLS 450 still performs relatively well and well balanced in this level. No matter from which aspect it is, interior space and comfort are its biggest selling points. As the entry-level 450 version, although its power is not very exciting, I think it is enough for daily life. GLS is also one of Mercedes-Benz's best-selling model in the US market. It's just that after the supply shortage and rising prices in the auto market in the past 2 years, the price of the GLS 450 is no longer cheap. Referring to the replacement cycle of the first and second generation products, this generation of products was launched in 2020. I believe that after this relatively large change, it should be able to compete for a few more years. We can't talk about it without talking about the X7. In fact, it and the X7 are both very comfortable in general. However, their comfort levels are slightly different based on different brand characteristics. I will put this together for everyone if I have the opportunity to show you. Of course, it's still the same sentence. Buy what you like. Don't control it. Don't be shy. Thank you for the above video.